Hello again. This is part 4 of the easy knitting basic technique, and I'm going to show you how to do a moss stitch border. Once again, I've used the cast on method that I show in part 1, and now we're going to do moss stitch. Now moss stitch is still using the same stitches that you've used in the other rib videos that I've shown you. So we're doing a knit one and a purl one, but this time, as you can see, we've got lots of little bobbles, and they're the purl stitches. So every time we do a purl stitch in one row, the next row will have a plain stitch on top of it. Let me show you what I mean. I'm going to start off with a plain stitch, a knit stitch. I finished off the previous row with a purl. So that was a purl on the previous row, and I'm starting it with a knit. So we slide it off the needle, and now I'm going to do a purl stitch. So the yarn comes up through, needle through the left hand stitch, through and off. So it's very similar to knit one, purl one, rib, except you're doing a knit stitch on top of the purl and a purl stitch on top of a knit on each row, so it gives it a different look. It's quite a nice look for baby clothes and things like that. It's quite a nice neat little border. So I'll just do a few more stitches, and you can see how the pattern grows. So this is a purl stitch, but I'm going to do a knit on top of it. Knit, which is plain stitch as well, same thing, and a purl stitch and a knit stitch, you can see that previous stitch on the previous row was a knit, and I'm doing a purl on top of it. That gives us a lump, a bobble. Okay, see that? And there's the bobble from the previous row, which was a purl stitch. So I'm going to do a plain stitch on top of that. Slide it off. See how it's going? Now the pattern is becoming quite a pretty pattern. I just finished to the end of the row. Purl stitch. Hope I'm not going too fast for you, but we have covered these stitches in previous lessons. It's just the way they show on the work when you've done several rows. It's quite a nice border. Coming to the end now. Purl. Oops. Knit. And that was a knit stitch. I'm going to do a purl on top of it. Knit on top of the purl, and then a purl stitch to end with. So I finished with a purl on that row, and when I begin the next row, oops, get the yarn around the right place, I want to do a purl stitch there and a plain on the next one to give the bobble effect. So needle forward, yarn round, through and off. Okay, there's the bobble from the previous stitch or previous row, which to us now looks like a purl, so I'm going to do a plain knit stitch on the top. And there's the plain stitch because it's flat and I want it bobbly, so I'm going to make a purl. And that's how you continue. Whoops, I've split it there. To do moss stitch. Quite a nice border. And in the next video I'm going to progress on to the main part of the knitting, and we're going to do stocking stitch. which is one row all knit stitches, and the following row will be all plain stitches, and that's stocking stitch. And the majority of knitting cardigans, jumpers and so on, you'll find when it's an unpatterned knitting is done in stocking stitch. I'll just finish this row off. Hope I'm not going too quickly for you. You can slow it down, I expect, on your when you're watching it. A couple of more stitches, a purl, and finish with a knit stitch, and we'll show you what it looks like. There. See, it's quite pretty. And both sides look exactly the same, so it's very hard to tell which is the front and which is the back. I'll turn it round and show you. See? So, quite a nice, neat border, and that's called moss stitch. So thank you everyone for watching, and part 5 will be soon. Bye for now.